First of all, I want to welcome everyone to the second hearing of the Subcommittee on Oversight. Today, we are continuing the important work we began in our first hearing, exposing the weaponization and politicizing of federal law enforcement agency against the American public. This time, we'll be focusing squarely on the Federal Bureau of Investigation under the Biden administration, a bureau bloated by bureaucracy, a bureau that burned through billions, not millions, but billions of dollars in taxpayers' dollars to chase political enemies, a bureau that silenced dissent and trampled on our constitutional rights. All while real threats to our safety were ignored. This wasn't just a leadership failure, it was a betrayal of the American people and of the American trust. This hearing is more than oversight. This is about restoring trust. This is about standing up for every American who believes that government should protect them, not target them. Let me be clear. The FBI should be a shield for the American people. Instead, under the Biden-Harris administration, it became a sword to use against them. Let's start with parents who spoke up for their kids, parents who voiced concerns about radical school agendas. What did they get in return? A surveillance file, a federal investigation for just trying to be a good parent. That's not law enforcement. In my book, and in most Americans' books, that's intimidation. Let's talk about people of faith. The Biden FBI branded certain Catholic Americans as, quote, radical traditionalists and potential domestic terrorists. They even discussed infiltrating churches by having parishioners spy on their own people, by their own fellow parishioners. And it wasn't just Catholic churches. In 2021, the FBI raided a Hindu temple in the state of New Jersey. Using overwhelming force, agents stormed sacred grounds. And listen to this. They held guns to the faces of the holy men. They disrupted religious life, all based on loose, untrue allegations, which are now, thankfully, unraveling in court. Our sacred places, our churches, our synagogues, our temples, our mosques, they should be sanctuaries, not scenes of government surveillance. Let's talk about free speech. The FBI knew Hunter Biden's laptop was real. They knew it. They colluded with big tech to frame it as Russian disinformation. They tried to bury the story from the American people. That wasn't law enforcement. That was raw political election interference. And all of this, the worst part of all, it wasn't free. It came with a price tag. In fiscal year 2024, and listen to this, the FBI spent over $6 billion, not million, billion dollars on intelligence, counterintelligence, and counterterrorism, all on American soil, more than half of its entire budget. But instead of using those billions to fight violent crime or keep our communities safe, the money was funneled into politically driven investigations and abuses of power. The waste did not stop there. $220,000 paid to Igor Danchenko, a key source behind the discredited Steele dossier, plus another $300,000 to that planned before the FBI can finally close him as a source. Up to $1 million offered to Christopher Steele to try and corroborate, which he couldn't do, his own baseless claims. $200 million more secured for a new FBI headquarters, a reward in Greenbelt, Maryland, despite widespread public distrust and concern and strong opposition from the Judiciary Committee. And that is only scratching the surface. The FBI couldn't give us enough real numbers, and we're going to continue to pursue that and just find out how much this really cost us. For 4 long years under the Biden administration, Americans had to suffer through this. Groceries got more expensive, rent kept rising, families struggled to make ends meet, some working 2 or even 3 jobs just to stay afloat. And while they were scraping by, Americans working hard, trying to survive, the federal government was using their hard-earned tax dollars not to help them, not to protect them, not to make things better, but to surveil them and fund political hit jobs. People, and I'll use the vernacular, they're pissed off. They're tired. They're tired of it, and they have every right to be. They want the FBI focused on real threats, the southern border, cyber attacks, violent crimes in our neighborhoods and our cities, foreign adversaries that are hacking our elections, not on chasing down somebody you don't agree with, not on chasing down a political opponent. All of this pointed to a clear conclusion. The Biden FBI picks and chooses its priorities based on politics, not on public safety. And ladies and gentlemen, that is wrong. And if it weren't enough, whistleblowers tell us about a corrupt bonus structure, just to make it even worse. Bonuses for opening more cases, bonuses for inflating the numbers, bonuses for manipulating timesheets. Imagine being rewarded not for catching criminals, but for cooking the books. You couldn't make it up, but it's true. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's not a Republican talking point. It's not a political talking point. This isn't speculation. This is documented, well-documented abuse, verified by brave whistleblowers and confirmed by this Judiciary Committee. Some may say, and good question, well, what are you doing about it? I'm going to tell you. We're working to fundamentally reform the FBI from the ground up. We are drafting legislation to rein in abuse, cut waste, and refocus the Bureau on real threats to public safety. We're investigating every single dollar spent and every abuse of power uncovered. We are demanding accountability from those responsible and pressing for transparency at every single level. And yes, we are exposing the truth. Because as they say, the truth shall set you free. The first step to real change is making sure the American people know exactly what's going on, what was done to them with their own money. That's the cruel part of it. By their own government, the cruelest part of it. Director Kash Patel is leading a new FBI, one that returns to its roots, one that Americans can be proud of. He moved agents out of Washington, D.C., back into communities, back to fighting violent crimes as they should be. Attorney General Pam Bondi took swift and decisive action to dismantle the most politicized units within the Department of Justice. She redirected resources towards real law enforcement priorities, scaled back abusive practices, and made clear the DOJ's mission is to uphold the law, not to serve any political agenda. Any political agenda. You know, it's the old saying, if it happened to us, it can happen to you. This isn't Republican. This isn't Democrat. This is just doing the right thing. Together, they are rebuilding the Bureau from the ground up. They're doing it the right way, with transparency, with accountability, and with a focus on the Constitution of the United States of America. This is the FBI that the American people deserve. So today, we're going to hear from those who know the truth, former agents, former insiders, people who saw firsthand what went wrong and what we can do to fix it. Because, you know, this isn't just about the past. It's about a better future. It's about restoring our faith in American institutions. It's about protecting our freedoms. It's about demanding that taxpayer dollars go to protecting Americans, not targeting them. The only way that we will understand where we are and where we want to go is by understanding where we were. It's about doing the right thing. I thank you, and I look forward to this testimony. I now will recognize the ranking member, Ms. Crockett, for an opening statement.